Hi. Okay, so today I'm with Mr. Arena to talk about perspectives on remote learning for our new segment on KANG News. So let's get started. Question one, Mr. Arena. A lot of the teachers that I've spoken to in the past specialize in academia. With you being a coach and more physical ed oriented, do you believe that your experience with remote learning differs at all? And if so, how?
Yeah, I think it is different. We're still going to have the academic portion of our class, but my goal really, especially as a phys ed teacher, is to get the students off the computer as much as possible. So I have designed a lot of activities for my students to get on, meet with me quickly, go over some reminders, and then get right off and go and be active. I think right now is a really important time for students to be active when I don't know if you've experienced this, but I have. I am a normal day at work for me at the high school. I would get in 10,000 steps no matter what. And now I think I've hit 10,000 steps maybe once in the last month and a half. So, yeah, I just think it's really important for people to be moving because right now, when you're in quarantine, we're stuck inside most of the time, especially if the weather's not good. So, trying to get active and get everybody's heart rate up.
Yeah, I'd agree. What has the overall response been from students using Teams? Negative, positive, neutral?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I don't know. I think I can tell you I used it last spring for my classes just to
Yeah.
test it out because I felt like that's where we were heading for this school year. I find it very user friendly compared to some other sites like Zoom or um, I can't think of the one my wife uses, but yeah, I think it's been pretty positive so far. As always, there's going to be hiccups with any system, any technology that you're using, but most students have been able to navigate it pretty well and learn. And I think as long as you're willing to learn the system, um, you can be successful. So you guys learn how to, manage TikTok. I'm sure you can figure this out.
Yeah. That's actually a very good point. Yeah. Yeah. So, you are the head football coach at Lake Washington. With you having a strong involvement in LW sports, how do you see sports being affected this year?
um, Well, I think it's been tough for sure. I definitely voiced that with my classes like the first couple weeks. Like it was difficult not to be out there this time of year. I'm so used to being on the field and practicing and seeing like the girls soccer team out or cross country out on the field. So it's been tough. I think I'm glad we have a plan, um, and that it's from what it sounds like the WIA is ready to um, put that plan into place come January. So I'm happy about that, but I understand it's difficult. I think it's difficult for me. It's difficult for our students to not be a part of something special. I think sports is special um, when it's a part of someone's life and or just being a part of a group. And so a lot of students, I think, are missing out on that socialization right now that we normally have, even in school, right? So it definitely in school, but
Yeah.
there's something special about sports when you spend 2 hours together with your friends.
Yeah. Yeah. For
And
sure.
so missing that is really tough on students. And it's tough on me too, because that's one of the reasons I do it is just to be around the kids, the students, and to have fun learning from them and getting to be around them. So I hope that answers your question. Tell me that
And
question again.
no, no, you answered it perfectly, and it's a
Okay.
great lead into my next question, which is, what is your advice to students who are looking forward to playing sport this year, especially a fall sport? Is that still a possibility?
Um, well, yeah, it's definitely a possibility. I know there's still a possibility that we could have some activities this fall. If not, we have a plan in place for the spring. Um, But if I was a student athlete right now, I would be getting outside as much as I can, working on my speed, working on my strength. If I'm in a sport like swimming, I would be doing something to help my body get in shape for that sport. Because I think the hardest thing for any athlete is to come into a sport out of shape. And I think right now, especially during quarantine, you have to get creative. Like I'm in my garage right now. This is my teaching space, by the way. Is I have the laptop on my file cabinet here, and I teach standing up because I can't sit down all day. But I've got weights in here. I've got a carpet, treadmill, and I just do what I can to use that space. And some students, that was actually one of my assignments at the beginning of the school year was tell me about your space and show me your space through a flip grid. And it was pretty amazing to see some students have a really nice setup, and some students are like, this is my bedroom, this is my space. It's like this 4 by 4 foot cube. But what I've been amazed with is how resilient people have been, and not using those limits to stop them from being active. So if you want to come into sports in shape, be active, get your heart rate up. It doesn't have to look like your typical workout. You can do anything and it'll help you. So, yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Okay, last question. Do you think physical education and health affects students during this time of quarantine? And do you believe it is important for students to stay active, especially during this time?
What was, say the first one again?
The first part was, how do you think physical education and health affects students during this time of
Oh, yeah.
quarantine?
Okay. Yeah, I think it's important. I think it's super important. There was a report just before school started about how one of the things that leads to depression is the amount of time you spend in front of the television or in front of a screen. And because of our situation, obviously we have to be in front of the screen. But I think, with physical education, health, the goal again is to try and get people off the screen, get active. And so, yeah, it's super important to get people off the screen. I have to, plan segments of my day so that my phone is away, my computer is shut, I don't get those emails, and I can just do whatever I need to for an hour or so and get some activity in. So super important, super important. What was the second question?
And then the second part was, well, I mean, I guess you kind of answered it, but it was just, do you believe that it's important for students to
Oh,
stay active,
yeah,
especially now?
yeah.
But
Yeah, I guess I did answer that. But yes, it is. It's super important. So do what you can. No excuses.
yes, to
And
everyone watching, everyone
yes,
needs to make sure to stay active during quarantine.
yeah. And I also think too, like if students don't be afraid to reach out to friends or anybody. I think most people are willing to help if they're just asked. So if you're going through a tough time, you need someone to help motivate you, reach out to a friend, reach out to a teacher. That's why we're here. I've told my students, for me, it's really important that they just communicate with me because I want to see them be successful. And as long as they're talking to me, communicating, emailing, staying after, when class is over to ask questions, I'm going to do what I can to help them be successful and guide them in the right direction. So I think all teachers want to see that from their students. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jessica.
Of course, no problem. Thank you so much, Ms. Farina, for answering these questions for our new segment called Perspectives on Remote Learning on KANG News. I appreciate sitting down with you and talking to you from a little bit different perspective, for a more physical perspective. I think students will be really excited to see this and view this. So thank you so much.